If you're in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area and need something great and fun to do, why not stop in to Pinball PA? Located in Aliquippa, just 10 minutes from the Pittsburgh airport, there's over 420 games on the floor, 200 some pinball machines, 200 some of your favorite video games. That's Donkey Kong, Asteroids, Space Invaders. You name it, it's there. So check it out, Pinball PA. Go online, see what all is going on there at pinballpa.com. Once again, pinballpa.com. Pinball PA, it's where the action is.
All right, well, we're back here with another episode of Aftershocks on AftershocksTV.com on the CMS network. And our guest today is a man who needs no introduction. We've got the metal guitar legend himself, Mr. KK Dowding. KK, thanks for coming with us. How are you, man?
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Chris, Matt, nice to be on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Well, let's get right to it. Sermons of the Sinner. You debut full length from your new band, Judas Priest. It comes out August 20th. And, of course, it's been a while since we've, heard new music from you. It's I think it's going on about a decade now. And I think a lot of your fans, including myself, thought we might never hear anything new from you again. So we're glad you're back. And from what I've heard from the album so far, the sample that I've been given, I mean, your fans are definitely not going to be disappointed, especially I think the diehard classic metal ones are going to love this record. So when it came down to the songwriting, and after going, I guess, through the longest period of your life without creating and releasing new music, was it more like riding a bike where you just kind of picked up the guitar again and everything went smoothly, or did it kind of take you a while to sort of get back into the groove after such a lengthy hiatus from music?
Yeah, it was a bit strange, really, because obviously, like, after all that time, I mean, I had done quite a bit, with producing. I did write a song for another band and stuff like that, but I certainly didn't know if I had an album in me. So in end of 2019, did a couple of shows like that year, and then we went into Christmas, and I thought, can't be done with all of that. I'll sit down and see if I've got what I've got in me, because I didn't want to do it the other way around, because obviously after playing with Ripper again and Les, it felt pretty good. And I thought, this can happen. But it can only happen if we got some, material, and so I sat down and made a start, and literally within a few days, I had the backbone of the album, really. And I was pretty adrenalized by the whole thing, really thinking, yes, I can do this, and I just went on and on. And so because of, the guys went back to America, we were all spread apart, I thought that, I was just there through the winter, and literally in 4 weeks, I had pretty good demos of the whole album, to be honest, with lyric and melody lines, just everything, because I couldn't stop. I wanted to hear how this song was. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, I was kind of interested that it was, coming from me, having been a part of a writing trio, for most of my life. We were a writing duo as a four-piece before Rob and Glenn, and that worked really well, but I was kind of pleasantly surprised how quickly all of this came together. But I was really pumped up about it, because I had the whole vibe thing going on as to what I wanted to get across in this album. But it was all encompassing, because it was very emotional. There's messages in there, there's thank yous in there, there's rejoicing in there. There's awareness about our precious metal, us dinosaurs are walking the planet. Just mean that inevitably dinosaurs potentially can fade away. Obviously, we're losing great friends far too often at the moment. From really the 70s and the 80s, it's all accumulated then, didn't it? I mean, because those 2 decades, new star bands seem to be almost every day, and it was so prolific, and we all remember those, you know, magical decades. The 60s was all about building and coming from blues, progressive blues, rock, hard rock, you know. But when we got into heavy rock and then heavy metal in about 1980, thereabouts, 79, 80, you know, it took off for a couple of decades. And then at the end of the 80s, well, it happened to us. Rob left the band, and didn't see him for like 14 years or something. And I know Bruce left Maiden. That particular genre of music seemed to get harder and heavier hitting, which was great. Lots of different styles of metal. But, you know, I think that this album is, well, like I say, I spent a lot of years of my life getting to the 70s and 80s.
Right.
You know, and even though we, when Ripper joined, thought that we were kind of getting a bit swept along with the tide, I think, you know, when a lot of things started to move, you know, and that's what it was, you know. But now there's another message in the record that it doesn't matter. Well, through the record and the song, metal through and through, you know, we don't care if people say we're old-fashioned. We don't care if they say we're old, which I'm not young. Don't care. I don't care what people say. This is rejoicing our beloved music that we've lived the life with and we've taken with us, and we've grown older together, all of us, millions of us all over the world.
Sure.
And that's kind of the statement, you know. But I still really believe that and hope that another message in this album, that younger guns or older ones will pick up their instruments and think, you know what, I'm inspired by this, you know. And so hopefully, wouldn't it be wonderful in years to come if we had a new Deep Purple or a new Scorpions or a new Judas Priest or a new Black Sabbath? I mean, with Greta Van Fleet, we've kind of got a new Zeppelin, haven't we, guys? Do we think?
Yeah,
you know, I know. Do you know what I mean? But like, we've got the familiarity of the sound, which is like a great tribute in one way, but with new material and new people doing it, and you know, and I think that that's a good route to go, because so many younger musicians, they ask me for tips and stuff like that, and you know, what do you think? And I'm saying, guys, I really think the pathway to the future is, you know, is in the past. You know, look to the past to move forward to the future. And that's what this album is to me, hopefully. The way that I see it is the fact that it's in the past, it's in the present, and it's in the future. It's certainly in the future, because not people haven't heard it all yet, far from it. But it's certainly in the past, because there's parts of me, I can't change what I do and how I do it. So it's going to sound reminiscent of things I've done in the past. There's no doubt about that. And I'm fine with that, because like the comparable I've seen is like, I'm not like a snake that you shed your skin. I can't shed my identity and being. I have to take it with me. Which brings me on to the name of the band as well. I just couldn't bring myself, because like I say, I've been a priest all my life since 1969. You know, and even before then, I wanted to be in the band Judas Priest. When I saw the van driving across my housing estate with spray painted Judas Priest, I want to be in that band, in that van, with that long hair, with that guy who's driving it, that roadie. You know, so even before 1969, and so it's in my blood now. So this is, like I said before, it's not, you know, an offspring of anything. This is a new entity. And tomorrow we'll release a new video, which I'm really, really excited about.
Excellent. Very cool.
And people will see that KK's Priest, it has a face, it is an entity to be in, it will make the journey with us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I know it's a lot of information to kind of divulge in one kind of sitting like this, you know, with a time constraint. But this is all about, well, like I say, when I express myself now, it's like my whole life gets involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But where did I leave off? I was saying something. I was, yeah, like, that's what I was saying, is the fact that obviously being a part of a band, there's a compromise situation. And but like I say, when you put the magic ingredients together, and it takes a long time to get all your band members, and the synergy is really, really good, then it's good, because all of the ingredients have very valuable input, in so many ways. And that, it's like if we think of our favorite bands, we couldn't imagine them without this person or that person, because they are, a combined entity, and that's great. But being forced in a situation where it's kind of suddenly you're out on a limb and you have to prove that you can kind of prop it up yourself, and I'll say that because we didn't have the chance to get together, because of not only COVID, but, living in different countries and things like that.
Sure.
But obviously we can move forward from that point. But like I say, this is very, very interesting times. And like I say, I sat down for a few days in February thinking, is there a second album? And I know there's a second album there. So I have to know, because I don't want to be embarrassed where all the guys say, okay, KK, you've written all of those great songs, write us some more. Right. I'll do the Blues Brothers thing. Okay, we can put the band together now, Elmer, or whatever his name was, So, okay, guys, I think we can take this seriously. And, but yeah, it's just accelerating at a great rate of knots. And I'm excited to kind of still be around doing this and still be flying the flag for rock and metal, and inspiring everyone to continue to see the validity, and to also, like I said, again, entwined in the record, there's other emotions and sentiments that, out there to say, like I do, appreciate, although some bands are fragmented because maybe people have passed on, maybe there's been fallout, whatever there is, to rejoice and hang on and give everybody a chance to try to continue to deliver up, music from these people, or a combination of people or individuals. That's me as well, and to give us a chance and an opportunity to continue, if nothing else, with all of the crap aside, give us an opportunity to create some great music and put on some great shows, because we're chomping at the bit to do it.
Sure. No, absolutely. I wanted to ask you too, KK, in the press release, it states the word sinner from Sermons in the Sinner, in the song and album title is a reflection of your sense of alienation from Judas Priest. So has this recording and releasing of the record, now that it's out, or it's going to be, I should say, in a couple of months, is it sort of therapeutic in the sense that it's been able to help you focus more on what you can do now and going forward with the band, instead of continuing to have that sort of bad taste that was in your mouth, how everything sort of ended with the band?
Yeah, like I say, just before I actually sat down to write, and even, I've real frequently, I've written to the guys and said, is the door open or closed? And they said it's permanently closed. So I've just gone forward, and now that I have, I'm really glad they said that, because this gives me an opportunity to create some great music with a great band, and it's kind of refreshing, and I don't have to reach compromises, because I know the guys that are with me, I've purposely know these people, and I've worked with these people, and I know that they will help me to get everything across. I have to say, there's so much involved and entwined in this whole record in so many ways. So, as I said, so many sentiments, emotions. It's so complex, as you can imagine. Really, guys, I think after spending all my life, it's like, it's hard to explain.
Sure.
You know, when you think
Sure.
you're never going to change, it's going to be this way all the time. So it's kind of like a body shock, you know, and then you're suspended in it, you know, in a stratosphere, you know, sort of floating around with all the rest of the debris that's going around, and suddenly you can find a way out. So now, and you know, there's so many things with that sound, because I had to approach it as well. I didn't want to, but I had to approach it as though it may be the last thing that I ever do. Funnily enough, isn't it funny what age does to you, you know?
Yeah.
You know, sadly, I lost my sister just over a week ago, and she was just 70, you know, so she was a year older than me. But like I say, and so traversing through the album and everything about it, trying to get everything out I wanted to say, but I wanted just to have fun, and I wanted to just have rock, and I wanted just to have metal, and for it to be everything. But you know, in the song "Return the Sentinel" at the end is very poignant. It's very emotional. I get very kind of swept up in that when I hear it, you know, and so I have to think about that. So I had to lay it out, not exactly like, you know, doing things that we do later on in life, like preparing wills and making arrangements with the funeral director. I don't want to go, this is the first time I've actually been here, but you have to think about this, you know, because it's kind of, you know, could be my epitaph, but hopefully it's not gonna, he says. It's not gonna be that. I'm gonna be around, and don't get me wrong, I don't really want to go there because I'm already looking at this next album. I'm planning tours and everything. But it's funny what life does to you, you know. I'm sure a lot of people out there can probably relate to a lot of things I'm saying, you know, about a lot of things. But yeah, I'm really pumped up. We've got more videos coming as well, you know, before the release, and we're working away like troopers. But I certainly hope everybody will click into KKspriest.com and see what's happening, getting ready for tomorrow's release. It's very exciting. I'm really pumped up. It's just hot off the press. I actually saw the end result at about 7:30 this morning, which is very early for me. But time constraints, we've got to make sure that it's in the catapult, ready to fire on time.
No doubt. Well, KK, I want to talk about the title track itself, because just listening to it, it really feels almost as appropriate as it could be, because it feels like it's somewhere out of that Painkiller Jugulator sort of thing, which is perfect with obviously with Ripper involved as well. For you, did you write trying to pattern toward that sound or the sound that you made with Ripper, or is it just this came out and it fit perfectly?
No, I just wanted to do everything. I wanted to create something. I just wanted to a continuation of let's say, if I'd have been doing this in at any point, 70s, 80s or something, I just wanted to write something that everybody could relate to and rejoice in, you know, and commemorate everything that's so great about the genre of music that we know and love so well, you know. And it's just like an old friend coming back. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully, I hope people and fans consider that, you know, old friend coming round to see it at Christmas time and maybe bringing you into the same present. I don't know. Kind of, you know, but just something that you can relate to, you know, people can relate to, and that will take them a bit down memory lane, but also it's still bona fide in here. It's a gift that hopefully you'll be able to use today and in the future as well.
Sure.
But also a gift that reminds you of something that you've had from me in the past.
Is it the album itself, the whole album, is it redeeming for you? And you're probably going to disagree with me on this, but whatever. Is it redeeming for you that this comes back? It gives you a chance to show more of your metal side, considering that the last release that you did with Judas Priest was the, you know, the album that was very 50-50 with fans, with Nostradamus. You know, some loved it, some hated it. But this gives you a chance to really show, okay, I'm still metal, KK Downing of metal, you know.
Yeah, because I guess really in our minds, we thought that we would go out on the epic Nostradamus, you know, and then with time, and that was probably going to be the last thing we did, because we were gearing up for a farewell tour. We all agreed to retire. I actually didn't retire. I quit the band because my head wasn't in a good space, because there was so many things happening. But I say that's kind of a long-winded story, you know. It was essentially a fallout, whether I had some kind of breakdown, but lots of things were happening. We all agreed that we were going to retire and end the band. And so all as I wasn't doing was the farewell tour. Has it gone again?
You're there.
Okay, yeah. So all I wasn't doing was the farewell tour, you know, and my head just wasn't in the right place to do that. Even though a few months later I did change my mind, but that's another story. Right. You know, so I was talking to Ian, about the bass player, about doing it, and I should do it. You know, a friend of mine was saying, "Come on, KK, you've done everything else. If this is the last thing that Judas Priest are going to do, you've got to be there." And he was encouraging me, but I wasn't getting that from anywhere else, you know. And then they released a press release saying that I retired, and it wasn't the case. I was just trying to leave amicably, and then I got even more angry because they announced to the press that I retired to look after my golf course, and that wasn't true, and that made me look bad with the fans. So I sent him my second letter saying, ignore everything in my first letter, because I felt I prostituted myself anyway, because I wasn't telling the truth. And so I told the truth in the second letter, but they used the first letter because it made it softer for them with the press. They didn't have to answer difficult questions. And that's what I've been annoyed about for 10 years. And I've felt the brunt of that with the fans. But anyway, you know, so everything's moved on now, and I'm looking forward to a fantastic, you know, can't wait to get on stage. We had some shows booked last year, and we had some shows booked the year before, but we're definitely going to be, you know, got some great offers coming in for next year at least, guys. So we'll definitely be coming to your town.
Great.
Fantastic.
Well, did you take, and you know, you mentioned that it made you look bad to the fans. Did you take personally a lot of backlash? Because, you know, I mean, I can just speak as a fan and just tell you honestly, I never really thought of any of it as a bad thing, you know, that you retired or left.
No, I think there's some reasons fans would have an understanding, but thinking looking after a golf course is more important than being a part of Judas Priest and continuing doing what I've always done, you know, to those loyal fans, you know, and they're absolutely right. I would be pissed off as well, but it wasn't the case. Rob did a world tour in 2010. I quit in December 2010, and he released 2 studio albums in the same 12 months. Lots of things were happening. I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. Then I was being, you know, pressured to write an EP. An EP? We're not an EP band. I just said no.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I just said no. So, but like I say, you know, I extended. You know, I had a change of mind, and that offer wasn't taken up in the way that it should have been. So the rest is history, really.
Right. Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, KK, I mean, you know, just going back to some of the celebratory, you know, discussion here about the music that you've helped pioneer, obviously with Judas Priest. And I mean, this music is still alive and kicking in 2021. That classic, so, you know, metal and power metal sound really continues to connect with metal fans from one generation to the next, and even continues to thrive. Considering, you know, at the time when you were creating this music, it was considered to be extreme back then. Did you ever envision that this sound would have such staying power that it's had for around 40 plus years, and that younger bands would still be so heavily influenced by your music?
Yeah, I was convinced that once it kind of, you know, got to where it needed to be, that, you know, that it would be here to stay. But, strangely enough, it's not exactly the case. You know, I think lots of younger musicians felt that they had to find a way, like I did, to invent the wheel, reinvent the wheel. But that's not the case. My advice to younger bands is there's no need to try and reinvent the wheel. You know, it's already there. The fan base is there. This music people love. You know, you just have to try and find your style of wheel, you know, or modify the wheel that you've got, you know. You don't have to go out and create this style of metal and give it a new name and hope that it will fly, you know, because that's hard work. When people already know what they love, they know what they like, they just want more of it, with a twist, a bit different, but with a twist. I think that's what I want. I mean, if I could have give me as many UFO albums as you can.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And as many Scorpions albums as you can, you know, whether it's Motorhead, Saxon, give me more and more. I don't want to, you know, I want more and more of what I like.
Right.
Sure.
So, you know, most. So this is, you know, I feel very proud of the whole thing, because I was very loyal to Judas Priest. I never left the band prior to when I did, to form other bands, record LPs, set up my own web shop. I never had any of that. Everything I had that was worth anything from me went into Judas Priest, and I feel very, very proud of that. And that's why I do deserve to be able to keep my identity moving forward as a priest.
Right. No, it definitely makes, and you know, people probably, I would imagine most fans gather it, but they don't know just how good you actually have been toward fans and press and everybody else. And I'll tell a very quick story here. The first time I met you was on, 2001, somewhere in there. I was doing an interview with you backstage, and you literally took me on a walking tour of the backstage, because you were like, hey, come on, let's go. I want to introduce you to the band. You didn't know me from anybody. And you were like, yeah, come meet the rest of the band and come to, you know, you were really way beyond the 20 minutes and let's sit down and knock this out that you needed to be. And you've always been like that. And, you know, I think it's a testament to why KK's Priest is probably gonna jump right out, because you, of all of the Judas Priest members, you've always been the most in touch with fans and press and everybody positively.
Yeah, not everybody's like that, and I see a lot of ugly things when I'm on the road and doing festivals and what people do. But you see, we play, and so many people have been a part of us, and we've been a part of them for so long, you know, that when you get actual chance, you know, to meet people, to spend a bit of time with them, you want them to, you know, I've got to be honest, you know, have a good impression, you know, you know, we haven't got our heads in the clouds and that we're good people, and we're the same, because the thing is, I am the same. I go to concerts and I'm a fan, you know. When I first saw Jimi Hendrix in 1967, I'd never played a note on the guitar. I was a fan, you know. And so we are the same. And I've never been that type of person to want to put myself you know, above anybody else. We're all the same. It's just that for that period of time, I'm on the stage doing that, you know, and I'm also aware that there's an awful lot of musicians, you know, in the audience as well. And, but yeah, thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it.
Sure. Well, KK, as much as you may appreciate that, we appreciate having Sermons of the Sinner 15 times more, man. It's from what we've heard the 4 songs so far, and it's fantastic. Can't wait for the rest.
I can honestly say that I absolutely promise, you know, I promise you guys, there's no filler or anything on this record. I really am very proud of every song, and everything has a meaning, has a storyline. Whenever we've got time, we can sit down. If you want to know what this song means or what any song means, there is a storyline and a meaning behind everything.
Awesome.
Great. Well, one more time, the album Sermons of the Sinner. It's out August 20th. It's KK's Priest. And KK, thanks so much once again for joining us here on Aftershocks.
Thanks,
Chris,
KK.
it's a blast, and thank you very much for having me on the show. And thank you, all of the fans out there, and we hope to see you real soon in your town.